Our next guest's new book reveals the path to success is usually lined with failure. Let's welcome Jean Case. She is National Geographic Society Chairman and Case Foundation CEO. She's also the author of the new book that's called Be Fearless, 5 Principles for a Life of Breakthroughs and Purpose. And Jean, thanks so much for being with us today.
Oh, it's great to be with you guys this morning. Thanks for having me.
So let's start off talking about the book and the lessons in it. The idea of Be Fearless and that failures are kind of the way to success. How'd you come up with this?
Well, I'll tell you, I've had the extraordinary opportunity of traveling around the world and around the nation. And what I see everywhere I go are people with really great ideas about how they might make a difference in the world or just make the world a better place, whether they be companies or movements. But often what stops people in their tracks is a little bit of fear, and especially if they've encountered failure anywhere along life's path. So based on research we did at the Case Foundation some number of years ago, we really debunked the myth that failure can stop you. And we debunked the myth that it takes something really special. But, you know, it's not a genius, it's not a wealthy person, it's not big budgets that often drive innovative new ideas. And so I wrote the book really to encourage people everywhere to think about how they can push past failure and really embrace a way forward.
Is it fair to say that we have nothing to fear but fear itself?
I think it really is. I mean, what we say in the book up front is being fearless is not the lack of fear, but the ability to look it in the eye and keep moving.
Let's talk a little bit about your own experience, too, because I've known you for a long time. I didn't realize that you had been at GE for so long beforehand. What were you doing at GE? What were you working on?
Right. Well, my career started in the technology sector, and I actually first worked for the first pure play online service, which we would call an internet company today. And then I was recruited by GE to come build an online service for them. And I was very excited at the time, thinking big company, big budgets, et cetera, great brand. But what I discovered when I got there was that big brand was very much in a comfort zone. They had businesses that were just thriving, number one, number two in their markets. And they really didn't have much of an appetite for taking the needed risks that were needed as this new market was emerging. So I got a call from a startup down the road that was to become AOL. And I jumped. And of course, I never looked back. But at the time, people who knew me thought I was crazy to leave what was really a good thing for what I believed would be a great thing.
So what made you do it?
Well, it really was, I think, a set of goals in my own mind about what I wanted to see. You know, AOL really embraced the mission of democratizing access to ideas, information, and communication. And that mission was alive in the hallways. I could tell this company was onto something and probably would have more success in finding, markets in this new emerging field than a really big company would.
Let's talk about your role at National Geographic, too, because if I think about a place that's kind of a big brand that's been around for a long time, people may think of it as being staid. I had not realized that photographs were a big issue for them to actually start doing photography.
Yeah, and I like to talk about National Geographic because you guys talk about, big old institutions all the time, right? Well, National Geographic's 130 years old. And what we've seen through the history of the organization is a willingness to constantly take risks and be relevant. And believe it or not, 100 years ago, that was photography. That was the new technology, right? And so National Geographic made a decision to put some photographs in the National Geographic magazine, and board members resigned, saying, that's a fad, that's not serious science. Well, of course, fast forward the tape today, between photography and video, it's given us the largest social media footprint in the world with our photographs and our videos. And, we did a business model innovation as well, where we did a partnership with Fox to bring forward the National Geographic Channel at a time when cable news was the new media disrupting everybody.
How much of the business of National Geographic, or revenue, comes from the TV?
About $100 million a year comes over to the National Geographic Society as a revenue share in the venture that we have with Fox. And of course, now that Disney is acquiring Fox, we're set to embrace Disney as our new partner. It's very exciting.
Yeah.
Cool.
I need to read this. I'm so afraid. I have fear. I wake up I don't know. In the middle of the night, I wake up, I'm afraid. I have fear. I have fear of age. I have fear of, I don't know, the future, millennials taking over. I have fear. I'm afraid.
Well,
Can I read? Will this help me?
I hope you'll read the book, because what I'll tell you, the surprising thing to me was, I spend a lot of time on college campuses, and I'm used to kids kind of feeling daunted by their future.
That's me.
But I just got a note this week from a top executive at a large, successful firm, And he said, you know, your book, I gave him an early manuscript, and he said, your book really made me think about why haven't I pushed myself more in things that I want to do, whether it be at work or in my personal life. So I think it's a message we've found resonates with a lot of folks. And again, we've been out there talking about these principles for some number of years now. And it was really the encouragement of people who are moved by them, motivated basically to take the next step, that said, you guys have to spread this word more broadly.
Change is a good thing.
Change is a great
By the
thing.
time I have coffee and everything, I feel usually, I feel better, right? I mean, don't you ever wake up in the morning and go, oh, I'm afraid.
I usually go, ugh, it's Monday. More or less.
Kind of afraid.
Don't you get afraid? I know you get afraid sometimes, don't you? Is it anxiety?
Only of you.
Maybe it's anxiety.
Only of you.
Maybe it's anxiety.
But listen to that, Joe, because no great things come from the comfort zone.
I know.
It's when you're uncomfortable that some of the greatest ideas
Okay,
come out.
I need these 5 principles.